I'm Katie McGee. We're in Denver at the broadcast studio at GBTA Convention 2025, and it is my absolute honor to introduce you to Matt Orrego, CEO of Cornerstone. Matt, welcome.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks for having me.
It's nice to have you. So tell us a little bit more about Cornerstone. What does the company do?
Oh my gosh, we do a lot of things, and sometimes some people refer to it as like the plumbers of the industry. So we're an IT services, managed services company that really focuses on the automation, the aggregation, and the analysis of data from the very reservation process all the way to the expense process and financial processes within the industry. And we kind of do that in ways that are at the very genesis of when a reservation is made. So we acquire it from the global distribution systems and reservation systems that our customers use. And then we automate that entire fulfillment of that. So we issue the tickets, we send out the itineraries, and we keep monitoring that reservation all the way through to when it's starting to be traveled on and to its very end when people go home. Nice. And then they got to do an expense report, especially in business travel.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So in business travel, you got to do an expense report. So what we're doing in a constant state for the evolution and the ecosystem of the travel industry is connecting to almost 40 plus systems in the industry that we're aggregating data from. So not only from the reservations process, the booking process, but now the CRM processes, Salesforce.com type processes, expense and ERP systems. And we connect it all to kind of derive a really complete story as to what happened in that reservation. And in business travel, a lot happens to it. Okay, because stuff gets added on all the way through, in that process. So that's what we do. And ultimately, we provide great insights to that data for our customers, whether they're a seller of travel or a buyer of travel.
Interesting. What trends and news are you observing in your industry space right now?
Oh my gosh, well, I'm sure you've heard of AI.
We've talked about it a little bit this week, just a little bit,
yeah. So I think AI is certainly in the hopes of transformation. I think we're all kind of in seeing how we're going to interact with it, and I think it's allowing this industry, and not just the travel, not just business travel, but the travel industry in general, to kind of dream about that potential. Okay, but the one trend that I'm really starting to see is around the data aggregation and kind of the centralization of data, because as you know, AI needs to be trained. It needs to be intelligent, and it just doesn't automatically come that way, okay? Just like people don't.
Right, no, we all need to learn, right? We
need our LLM parents to kind of raise this up. So it's the same thing. You got to put your data together. You got to put it in a place where then it's accessible. And then obviously it's got to be quality data. So we're seeing more of that, and especially in our business, more that centralization, as I was explaining, how we combine all this data together, getting it ready for intelligent interactions, okay? And the other thing that I'm starting to see too is around the business models that are changing, especially around distribution. How distribution is changing in our industry, how suppliers want to do it a different way. And I think business models around that are changing as well too. And that's all really interesting, but it's kind of a little unknown right now how it all is going to manifest itself. But trying to make sense of all of that is what we do. We hang out in the middle.
Right, and I feel like there's so much happening so quickly. It'll be interesting to have this conversation even a year from now, 6 months from now.
Or even 3 weeks from now.
Right, it's crazy. I don't know how we're all keeping up.
Yeah.
What do you think are the biggest challenges and opportunities in business travel today?
Yeah, today. Well, right? You got to acknowledge that the travel industry's biggest challenge has been change. Change comes at the speed of weight loss in this industry. It's just something that just happens incredibly slow. But I really do think that AI gives us hope for, all of the fragmentation that we have. We're a very siloed industry. We have our suppliers, they have their own systems. The buyers have their own systems. We have all of these systems that kind of have to be interconnected. And I do think that AI and machine learning and just data science itself and automation is going to start bringing together it's going to start leveling out those complexities, okay? But I think that, what that then allows us to have is the opportunity to begin thinking about travel as kind of a strategic asset.
Interesting.
Within businesses. Because I think a lot of people have focused in more on how we travel, the how. This person has to do this system has to do that. And and then it becomes kind of an excuse as to why things work or don't work. But I think that, if we can start resolving those things, and they said using AI, using technology to do that, then we can get into the why. Why are we traveling? Why is it important? How does that align with my company's strategic objectives, what I'm trying to do, drive revenues up, have more engagement, with my customers, or, even within ourselves, within, the community of people that you work with, which, is very spread out these days.
Yes, it is.
So, all of those things I think are great opportunities to create a strategic value around travel.
I love that. And I think you nailed it. The why is always important. Always important.
And it's, but when you get stuck in the how, you never get to the why.
Exactly.
And a lot of people ask, how, how's this happening? All of those things. The why is much more important question.
You nailed it. Love it, Matt. This was so enlightening. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you, Katie. Enjoyed it.
A pleasure to meet you.
All right. We'll see you next year.
Yes, next year we'll be talking all new things.
All new things.
Right?
Yeah.
All new things.
AI might be out of this whole thing.
We'll see about that.
We'll see about that.
Thank
Not
you.
a prediction.
Right now. Thank you for joining us. My name is Katie Mickey. We are here in Denver at GBTA's broadcast studio at GBTA Convention 2025. Thanks for watching.